Hey everyone, it's Phil Frost from Main Street ROI, and I have Mike Roberts here from SpyFu. Hey Mike,
How's it going, Phil?
can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
and want to welcome everyone to this Master Your Marketing webinar series. Today we've got a great presentation here about impossible analytics, the most audacious things you can learn from data you were never supposed to see. That might seem a little bit vague. You're not sure what you're attending here. I promise it's going to be well worth it. Mike gave me an opportunity to demo this new tool about a month ago, and
That's
it
right.
is
I think you were the first actual real life demo,
nice.
which is yeah.
I got to put that in my bio.
Yeah, so it was you got like probably the worst demo ever, I
Yeah,
guess.
it was all uphill from there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, let's go to the next slide here.
Okay.
Just a quick intro to Master Your Marketing. If you haven't attended one of these before, we've partnered with some of the leading experts in digital marketing, and we essentially take turns each month. One of the experts presents. This month is obviously Mike's turn from SpyFu. He's going to be going through his brand new tool, and then I think there's one more bullet on here about how you're going to receive messages from all of our partners as part of this event. So it's a free event. Everyone gets to attend. And then part of that deal is that our partners do get the opportunity to follow up with you via email. All right, so let's
I think
dive
a
in
question
here.
that people ask all the time is whether or not this will in fact be recorded.
And
And,
that is a
and,
good
and I
question.
believe that the answer is yes. In fact, I can see that it is actually recording currently.
Yes, and Mike, you started this, so it might get recorded and saved on your computer.
Oh, okay. Well, that's exciting.
Uh, yeah, if not, I'll handle it.
All right.
But yeah, the answer to that question is we are recording, and we do send out a replay typically within about 24 hours.
Sorry, I'm working the slide, so if you need me to like move forward, go ahead and let me know what you want me to do.
Yeah, let's dive in. I think it's just a quick overview next. Oh, housekeeping. Robert already figured out the Q&A. Turn that. You can just post questions to the Q&A box. We'll answer those as they come in. I've already introduced myself, Phil Frost, founder of Main Street ROI. Our business provides digital marketing services like SEO, online advertising, email marketing, and some WordPress development. And we also provide a lot of training, like this training you're on today. And then we have some more in-depth courses on our site. If you go to mainstreetroi.com/education, you'll see our more in-depth courses. And to date, we've helped over 2,000 businesses with their digital marketing. And my thought leadership has been featured in Forbes, Inc., Amex, as well as Mashable. And I'm going to present at the end. You will now hear the majority of this will be presented from Mike.
Oh no, I think that you're the lead on this. I'm basically just going to give a quick overview of Nacho Analytics. I'm Mike Roberts. I'm the founder and CEO of Nacho Analytics and SpyFu. You can reach out to me on Twitter there at Mr. Spy, or I'm fairly, well, somewhat active, if you will, on Reddit. Sporktopus is my name, and we're, as you know, SpyFu, Nacho Analytics, we're based in Scottsdale, Arizona. Everybody that you ever talk to, all of our support staff and all of our engineers, everyone, we're all in like one office over here in Scottsdale. So what we're going to cover is the brand new tool. Well, it's not brand new to everyone. Some people on this call may have been introduced to it if you're on like the launch webinar, or if you if you've heard of Nacho Analytics before. We're going to go through, basically I'm going to walk you through like some of the new things that we've done lately. I'm going to walk you through the overview of what Nacho does, and like how to use it, and then Phil's going to give like a case study of how he's actually used Nacho with one of his clients. And at the end, we'll have a you know, sort of limited special offer for attendees. These things are kind of like, we don't leave these up for very long. We really want to basically reward people that actually get on the call or watch the video. So and at the end, we'll have live Q&A. There's all kinds of opportunity to ask us anything you want. Okay, so introducing this new tool. It's what if you could see inside of anyone's analytics account? Not your analytics, anyone else's, like anyone. Introducing Nacho Analytics. Here's the homepage. So you can see inside of anyone's Google Analytics. Here, I'm sorry, anyone has analytics. I'll talk a bit about like whether or not I'm supposed to use the words Google Analytics and like any type of confusing aspect there. I'm actually not supposed to talk. Google really wants me to not, and so I'm going to. I'll actually tell you all about that in a minute. But here's the homepage, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you real quick how you use this. So I'm going to log into my account, and so inside of here, inside of Nacho Analytics, you can see that I've already set up a few of these accounts. eHarmony is one that we'll go through. I've got Tesla in here. I'm just going to go ahead and add another one real quick. How about Yelp? Yelp's a really big website. And so I'm going to continue with this guy. Now, what I need to do is go in here and create a property. This is, so I'm going to do Yelp.
Mike, they're saying they can't see your screen.
Really?
I can see it. Yeah, let me. On my screen, it says I can see your screen. Other people say that they see it. Actually, a lot of people are saying they can now. Looks like it was just one person. Sorry. Everyone's saying they can see it. Victoria, everyone is able to see it. I think it's just something going on with your connection. You might want to log out and log back in. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I go through here and I create a property, and it gives me this tracking code right here. I'm going to take this and copy it. I'm going to paste it right here, and I'm going to hit continue. Oh, maybe my paste didn't work. Hold on. Sometimes live demos are tricky. What did I just do here? Hold on a second. There's sometimes an issue with my when you have like when you're running like the GoToMeeting, when you do like the copy and paste, sometimes stuff doesn't work the way that you'd expect it to. Let me try this again. I'm going to go ahead and see if maybe for some reason I'm having an issue because this is a bit of a change from the way that we used to do it. I think when I demoed this for you, you just click on a button and it would automatically create one. You didn't have to do this property creation thing.
Yeah, this is different.
Yeah, so now this is just one of those changes that we had to make, and so we'll see if, well, I don't know what's going on there. I assume that that's a bit of a demo fail. I apologize. I think that this is probably a some kind of an issue based on just local to my computer. This is obviously not something that you would normally see. But what I'm going to do is hop into an existing account. This is, and I'll just show you, this is what you would actually, this is what you see. This actually is another one of my sites over here. If I go back, you see that I've already set up eHarmony. So eHarmony.com. So this is the live view. So you can see that right now there's 178 people on eHarmony. Well, apparently maybe while they're at work, I don't know. And so you can see everything that you would ordinarily see, right, in your analytics account. And as we go through here, you can see how many users that they've got, or how many they've had over the course of the past week. You see how many sessions. You can see which countries they're from. It's important that you can also see at the city level. So there's like international data. I think that this is important to note, is that this data is coming in from all over the world, and you can also zoom in and see which cities that it's coming from, so that it's international as well as local.
Oh, really quickly, Mike. Richard asked, can you see analytics on any website, or do they have to have Google Analytics installed already on their site?
That's a really great question. You do not need to have Google Analytics installed on the site. We're not intercepting the actual Google Analytics tracking or anything. We're not hacking into anyone's Google Analytics account. In fact, in the future, we're going to make it so that you can choose which analytics, whether or not you want to use Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics or Heap or literally any. Let's see, Matomo, right? So, so you don't have to have Google Analytics.
And then just a follow-up here from Erica: would the data be limited to real time, or would you be able to build up historical data?
That's right. Of course, it's you can see the entire history. Right now, I'm looking at September 20th through September 26th. I actually created this this account. Let's see when I created this one. You'll be able to see because the data starts on that day. Yeah, so I created this on basically looks like September 21st. So we have about a week's worth of data that we're looking at here. Of course, as the account gets, as you have it longer, it becomes more valuable, right? Eventually you'll have years of this data. So let's go in and have a look at some more stuff. So we can look at new versus returning users. I like to look at the acquisition, and we can drill into the individual channels. I think Phil, you're going to go into this in a bit, but you can see the breakdown between organic and paid and affiliates and referrals. Let's drill into organic here. There's something that's kind of interesting. So you can see the keywords that eHarmony is ranked on, and you can see the exact traffic that they're getting. And in addition, you can also see how many conversions they've actually gotten on those keywords. And so so one thing that's important or interesting to note here is this not provided, right? Not provided is kind of the bane of SEOs. And typically you see this percentage at about 98%. And about 98% of traffic, if I were to look at like SpyFu's traffic, about 98% of the traffic would show up as not provided in my normal Google Analytics account. But because of the way that we're collecting this data, because of what we're doing, we can actually look back in the past where the user was before they visited your site and whether or not that was a search page. And by doing that, we're able to unwrap somewhere between 40 and 50% of the not provided data, and so that could be like a product in and of itself, right? But let's keep going. I want to go back to
Mike,
channel. Yeah.
I did have a question here. I'm sure other people are thinking, can you see mobile data?
Right. So the one weakness of the data is that or one thing that you want to understand about it is this is all desktop data. So we can't see mobile data yet. We don't have a mobile data source. This is our first release, and of course we'll work on getting mobile data in, but we don't currently have mobile data.
Oh, and Cedra just said, mention the multiplier for eHarmony.
Actually, eHarmony does not have a multiplier. There, basically, what she's referring to is, in some cases, like for example, I have Tesla here. Sometimes a website has so much traffic that, unless I'm wrong, let me see if I'm wrong. No, eHarmony doesn't have a. Sometimes numbers come in tens, and the reason that we do numbers in tens or hundreds is because a Google Analytics account only allows you to push in up to 10 million page views a month. Beyond that, you need to buy like a Google Analytics 360 account. So what we do is, if we have more than 10 million users, we push the data in. We push in. And we push it in a way so that everything, all the raw traffic numbers, you need to multiply by 10. So you just add a 0 to the end of something. So if we're looking at Tesla here, and we see 78 users, what that means is there's actually 780 users on there. So eHarmony is a site that actually has like a very clear cycle, right? People actually use eHarmony typically like nights and weekends, or like on Friday, right? Because what they're doing is their sign up ratio is like, people always sign up for eHarmony on like Thursday and Friday, but never Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. I mean, like I'll show you the conversions for that site. So let me switch back over to eHarmony.
And Mike, I think you're gonna have to step back just a second, because somebody did say they were confused how this is different than a regular Google Analytics account. So, and then someone else said, just from a high level, how the heck does this even work?
Sure. From a high level, okay, so this is different than a normal Google Analytics account, in that I'm not affiliated with eHarmony. I don't actually have, like, eHarmony is not my customer. I don't know eHarmony. I have no reason to have access to their Google Analytics account. And so the difference is that I'm able to see their analytics without that access, that without that relationship, right? So this is kind of like how when you can go to SpyFu and look at anybody's AdWords campaign, you don't need their access to their AdWords account, right? You're basically just looking at their AdWords account without logging into their AdWords account. So that's kind of like what we're doing here. It's very, very similar. I hope that answers that. So let's drill into, what's up?
No, I said, yep, that answers it.
Yeah, okay, cool. So let's drill into some additional stuff here. You can also see, of course, their their referrals, where the traffic comes from. If I look at the source medium, you can see that they, one thing that I think is interesting is that they get a considerable amount of traffic from their affiliate program, their commission junction thing here. Let's actually, I want to go back real quick and oh, no, it's perfect. It's right here. Stop going back. Right. Okay. So this is CJ it stands for Commission Junction, and this is their affiliate account. And you can see that they've driven 1,400 users, but they also have a super high conversion rate on this, right? Like their site-wide conversion rate is like 0.2% or 0.3%, but their conversion rate for their affiliate program is 3.74%. 131 signups they've driven in the last week from CJ alone. And if I go up here and look at insights, I think what I can do is ask them, yeah, what are the top landing pages for CJ in the past week? So if I search for this, it's kind of a convenient way of navigating Google Analytics. But what you can see in here, hopefully you can see these, is you can actually drill in and figure out exactly which affiliates are driving those signups. Because see, these AID equals, that's actually the affiliate. AID stands for the affiliate ID. And so you could essentially reverse engineer, or let's not use reverse engineer because it's kind of sounds like technical. But what I'm saying is you can figure out who their super affiliates are and then make those your affiliates if that's something that you're into. Let's look through here. Oops, I want to go back to channels.
Another quick question here. Similar question here from a lot of different people asking, does it only work for big sites or does it also work for small sites?
Okay, so here's the thing, is that I recommend doing this with a really big site, at least for your first website. And the reason is that you have when you sign up for Nacho Analytics, you have a 7-day free trial, and you want to understand, how this whole thing works, and so getting a big site in here so that you can see plenty of traffic and lots of behavior is you're gonna have a better experience. It's possible for you to do like a really small site. Like oftentimes we have customers that come in and they have like a competitor, and the competitor gets like 20,000 page views a month, but they really want to look at the competitor. When you do that, we actually say, we recommend that you don't do this website because it's too small and you're not going to be able to make any really good decisions on it. Oftentimes this will be like either somebody's competitor or they're actually just running their own site to look at it. And here's the reason is the reason that we make that recommendation is that if you have a website and your website's getting like 10,000 page views a month, you're going to be able to see like top level metrics, like here's how many visits this site gets in a month. But it takes like a month for you to be able to make that determination and see how much that is. But also knowing how much traffic a website gets isn't the way to use this product, right? What you want to figure out, what you want to see is how many conversions are being made. What's the behavior? What is the most successful piece of content, from like a dwell time or like a conversion rate perspective? And these type of things take, to understand the behavior of one page relative to another page, or one product relative to another product, or one influencer relative to another influencer. That just takes a statistically significant amount of traffic. And typically when people want to do small sites, it just takes a really long time. And so we say, it's going to take like 6 months or a year to build up a statistically significant amount of traffic for you to make any kind of decisions on it. So I recommend doing a relatively big site. Also, looking at your competitors is kind of the first thing that you think of when you want to do this, right? Looking at your competitors and trying to figure out what they're doing. But really, I think that's kind of like thinking in terms of like the SpyFu paradigm or something. And so we have a lot of SpyFu customers that use Nacho Analytics. But really in this case, what you want to look at is like the best of breed. So one thing that we did as an example, we built a refer a friend program, and we didn't look at like hypothetical competitors. We looked at like the best in the world at refer a friend programs. We looked at like Airbnb and Dropbox, and we figured out what they're doing, and that's actually how we built our stuff. And that's what I would recommend is looking beyond your competitors in a lot of cases to the best of breed in whatever project that you're looking to do. So let's look at paid search real quick. So we can see which keywords that these guys are buying. But what's interesting here is that in addition to seeing like just the keywords, you can actually also see the match type. You see that they're using modified broad match. This is a plus on eHarmony, harmony.com plus dating site. They're also advertising on match.com. I think that that's kind of cool. But in a way, more importantly, you can also see what their conversion rates are for each of these keywords, and that's pretty huge. let's see, I think that I want to look at channels just one more time, because of course you can look at the social media. I'm not sure how big of a social platform eHarmony is in terms of they're not a platform, but how much they get a decent amount of traffic, but not many conversions from their social channels. By far, it seems that their most important channel, like the one that you would want to like dig into, is that that affiliate program. I was really surprised to see the percentage. I mean, remember that was like 130 or something sales, and when we go in and look at their conversions, actually, I'm gonna not do their conversions just yet. Save conversions for last because it's kind of awesome, or it's like super crazy. But okay, so
Mike,
yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't see a question about this. I'm sure people are wondering, as far as setting up the goals, did you have to go through the forms and figure out the thank you page and set that up, or kind of how does that work?
Right, so that's a great question. One of the things that we do is we sort of figure out the goals. So in this is back to Nacho, right? And so we found for about 80,000 websites, we actually calculate the goals. We figure out the goals automatically. Not every website will have like really clear goals. They don't have like sales that happen, but when they do, we figure those things out. And so what you do here is you just take this goal and you copy it, and then I'll show you where it's created over here. Under eHarmony. Oh, actually, when you look at the view, you'll see goals. And so all I needed to do is copy and paste those in. So you do new goal. I always create a custom goal, continue, name it something. And we're gonna make it a destination. And then I just switch to this regular expression, and then I paste that, whoops. Then I paste that in there, and that's it. I'm gonna cancel this, of course, because I already created that goal. So yeah, we figured those things out for you, and they're just, if I had created this, it would be kind of like more obvious that you create goals there. But when these things are collapsed, you know, by default, they're just sort of hanging out like that. But when you open this up, there's your goals right there. All right, so yeah, out of what 731, 814 goal completions, so about I'm going to say 15% of their conversions actually come from their affiliate program. That's kind of a significant amount. It's pretty impressive. Let's look at behavior real quick. I want to show you this stuff. So you can see this is behavior flow. You can see how people enter the site and how they navigate through. What are the most common things that they're looking at, and what's the path that they go through. One of my favorite things is to look at their most valuable site content. If you're like looking at their blog or whatever, you can dig into that. But here, of course, as you imagine, most people when they come into eHarmony is like eHarmony is kind of like an application, right? Like SpyFu is an application. There's, you know, and so you can see which features get used most here, and it sort of makes sense that people, when they come to eHarmony, are going to look at their matches, right? Who am I matching with? I'm actually not quite sure how the product works. If you want to flip over and look at page titles, you can also do that. And sometimes that helps to understand what people are actually looking at. Let's just look at a few more of these. I want to see if we can get into like some editorial content. I actually haven't looked at this site to see. oh yeah, so it's probably dating advice. So if we look at filter by dating advice, now it might make sense to switch to page title, because then you can figure out what's the real topic of this thing. That doesn't work. Here's what we would do, is we would do an advanced thing, and then we would look at page title. So we would say page, I need to switch to this view, and then we do the filter. Alternatively, don't know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, fortunately in this case, you've got kind of like your the title of the page right built into the URLs. I just wanted like a page title style view. I'm fairly comfortable that it's that you can do it. You can do this in by creating a segment. If you created a custom segment that says page equals or page contains dating dash advice, and then view this page title. I'm not going to do it because it's not like the most important piece of functionality ever, but that will work. So anyway, on here you can see, you know, like what's the bounce rate, what's the average time on page, page views, and you can kind of divine like the most successful pieces of content. So then typically I hop over to conversions, but I already showed you conversions. So I think that that's the end of this, of what I want to show you here. Unless anyone wants to see Tesla or something, you can kind of see how many sales Tesla is making, and that's pretty cool because they're a publicly traded company and kind of popular in the news. I considered maybe making that my my demo today, but let me.
I will request that.
You want to see that?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
All right, sweet. Let's hop over to that.
Looks like Erica agrees. So at least one
awesome.
person.
So yeah, Tesla. One thing to keep in mind here is that Tesla is. Oops. Wrong page. One thing to keep in mind is that Tesla is a is a really actually a much bigger site than I would have expected. You know, I'd actually expect eHarmony to get more traffic. It's, you know, kind of more of a consumer thing than Tesla. But when you look at Tesla, the all these numbers are in tens. So Tesla gets a kind of an absurd amount of traffic. I don't know. I mean, you know, what do you do there? You buy like you buy a car, right? So how can they possibly be getting this much traffic? To be honest, I really don't know. It may be that what you can see in here is not necessarily just user traffic, but it seems that Tesla.com is kind of like a portal for internal use. Like, so you can see that there's like Tesla.service now and Tesla Motors SharePoint and all this stuff sort of refers stuff via these, like, SAML stands for like security access markup language or something. So what you see is that people that are probably at Tesla or work at the dealerships are actually you know, coming from like these internal apps, even Solar City, through the Tesla site. So that may be where most of or a lot of this traffic is coming from. Why there's such a big presence, whereas in reality they can't really, I don't think, be like this consumer-sized site that they kind of look to be here. So let's just get a real quick overview of what their traffic is shaped like and how much they're getting. So over the course of a week, you know, kind of a decent number of users. Remember, this is 340,000 users doing 750,000 sessions. You just add a zero to everything, and that's 7.5 million page views. 7.5 million page views or so in a month. I'm sorry, in a week is pretty considerable. Well, let's look real quick at where their traffic comes from and look at their channels. I wonder if they're getting a lot from Google. I wonder what. I really haven't dug into this stuff very much. I obviously just created this account like about a week and a half ago. Yeah, so you see here, this is, whereas when we were looking at eHarmony, we were at about 62%. You can see that in this case, we've uncovered over 40%. So we're at 46% of the not provided that's unlocked. So yeah, people are coming in largely on branded keywords, as you would imagine. Model 3 is in there. Kind of actually wonder what their top landing page is. I can see that real quick. Oops.
While that's loading, Mike, a lot of questions about just kind of the threshold number of visits where the numbers become useful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have a number.
Generally speaking, I like to see 100,000 of anything before I'm willing to say, you know, that the basically like the top level, right? Before, so if you get 100,000 visits on the homepage, then kind of like what's happening from the homepage to the next page is valid, and then you kind of want to look at how much traffic is going to that next page to determine the behavior from that page. 100,000 is kind of a rule of thumb, of course. You know, like some of these things you're not going to get there. But it really depends on whether or not you want to compare like directionally, or like when you're comparing two pieces versus knowing, for sure how much or what the percent is, right? Like, so there's a difference between seeing something's getting, 35 sales versus 12 sales. Well, you can be fairly confident that the one that's getting 35 conversions is probably beating that one that's 12. So it's a bit like running a split test, right? And so you can be more accurate with your split test logic than you can in saying that at 35 sales, that conversion rate is 8%. Well, I don't know. I'd like to see quite a bit more data, maybe 10 times more data, before I would be willing to say that that's 8% plus or minus a reasonable amount, right? I'd say you kind of have to use your best judgment in terms of the science of statistically significant numbers. But my rule of thumb is 100,000. All right, so let's look at their conversions. The conversions are kind of up and down, because obviously they're making car sales. But what I think is interesting is that they have some like obvious cycles to their data. So we're looking at 160. That means that there's 1,600 sales, but they happen kind of in spurts. I also am not totally positive whether or not, I mean, you can see what the actual sales URL is, but I'm not 100% certain what the product is in this case. And it's realistically because I haven't done the research to actually figure out what the URL is for a specific type of car or something. But yeah, you can see 1,600 sales in here. It looks like maybe, and this is one of those things that you kind of have to keep on top of. It looks like at some point these, if I go up till now, oh no, it's just that at certain times that they don't have the sales just come cyclically, or you know, kind of like it seems that people buy like before the weekend and during the weekend. It's interesting. Okay, so let's let me skip through all these slides. Yeah, so this is obviously not just about AdWords and SEO. It's not like an extension of SpyFu or something. It's literally not like anything else. It's a brand new category. This is like God mode for the internet. It's not even about your competitors. You can obviously gain insights into marketing, product sales, growth hacks, product design, split tests, social media, the finances of your competitors. But it's a lot more than just spying on your competitors. By the way, Google really wants me to tell you, I talked about this earlier, I'm not supposed to use the word Google Analytics, I guess, but they really want me to tell you that they do not in any way endorse us. We're not secretly a subsidiary of Google. They don't sponsor us. We don't represent them. It's important to them that you don't confuse Nacho Analytics with SpyFu. We're not the same. I'm Mike Roberts, CEO of Nacho Analytics. I'm not the CEO of Google. This is kind of like an interesting sort of we're not hacking into Google Analytics, although it's like this sort of seems somewhat magical and almost like a black magic. It's kind of like when you first saw it's sort of like when you first saw remarketing, right? If you saw remarketing before you knew what remarketing was, you might be like, did I somehow get like a virus? Is somebody like, how are these ads following me all over the internet? Like, what's happened? Well, and then eventually you realize, well, that's just kind of how the internet works. And this is a lot like that, right? We basically have assembled, a panel of users, and it's really big. And if you have enough users, you can basically create what we've created. It's a patented process. It's never been done before. But the beautiful thing about software is that when you do it right, it just sort of feels magical. I know that. Yeah.
Mike, I've got a great question here from Adam. He's asking, how would we protect current clients by disallowing this spying on them?
Well, I'd like to give you a technical answer. As far as I know, there's not a way to do that other than like unplugging your servers.
That's what I thought.
I mean, look, here's the thing: is we're not doing anything to your client's website. We're not like intercepting their Google Analytics tracking pixel. We're not hacking into their analytics account. We're not doing anything that is that they could prevent, right? Like, I sometimes use the explanation that, if Walmart were to put up like a video camera and record like people coming into their parking lot, right? They're recording it, and then they like watch people come in, and they watch people like leave with things in their shopping cart and so on. That's kind of like, that video is Walmart's property. Conversely, if you have like a dash cam in your car and you drive into a Walmart parking lot and you're videotaping yourself, you could see you could see that you went to Walmart. You could see the products that you got in your shopping cart and so on. And in that way, you could see what you bought at Walmart. You could see what you bought at Best Buy. You could see what you bought at Target, Costco, whatever. But that video belongs to you. But if you were to if we were to like aggregate enough of that dash cam video, we'd be able to say, well, here's who went to Walmart and here's who went to Target. We'd be able to say who went to any website and what they bought anywhere. And that's kind of like, I guess actually that's an interesting segue to this slide, because it's not about an individual website and it's not about an individual product. You know, these speakers here are Sonos speakers, but we don't necessarily limit it's not that you just see how many Sonos speakers, how many of an individual product gets sold on Sonos.com. You can see how many other products sell on Amazon, Best Buy, the entire channel, any product, anywhere, any website in real time. You can see the traffic and engagement metrics for any influencer on any platform across multiple platforms. Actually, the next webinar that we have coming up is with Joe Sinkwitz, and he just wrote an article about Nacho Analytics, using Nacho Analytics to go in depth on Instagram influencers. He actually owns like an influencer marketing company, and so he's going to present his presentation in I guess like a week or two, is going to be all about influencer level analytics and using Nacho Analytics to look at these influencers. So I'm not going to go into that today, but it's coming soon. I tried to create Yelp for us. I don't know what happened, but the thing is that you can zoom in on, you know, for local businesses, you can see the analytics for people that visit their Yelp or their Angie's List profile, which keywords drove them city by city. In this case, this is something that I did prior to our launch video, or our launch. In this case, I loaded up Yelp in Nacho Analytics and filtered by users only in New York City. Then I searched for visits to sushi restaurant profiles. And the traffic numbers that you see here are in hundreds because Yelp is super huge. So there were 17,300 visits to over 150 sushi restaurants in New York City. And that's in one day. I mean, we could be launching this as our product and we'd be pretty stoked. This is like seeing Yelp and being able to dig into any profile in Yelp is super huge for local businesses. And by the way, sometimes you don't know in advance what you're going to be able to figure out. I just randomly loaded up this Yelp thing, and it wasn't until I built this slide that I realized how incredibly powerful it would be. So sometimes you got to like load things up and let them mature for a while, then go in and click around, and it's like, oh my God. Yeah, local business analytics is pretty awesome. So you can also use it to make better product decisions. Like, what's the most popular features of Slack or HubSpot or MailChimp? We were kind of looking at, when we were looking at eHarmony, you could see that, you know, if you're going to build a dating app, you probably need to have you probably want to prioritize my matches. Like somebody like visits the site, you'd want to show them their matches rather than maybe putting them into finding new people or something right away, right? Which I guess makes sense. But anyway, that's just like the top level. You can keep drilling down and finding out, well, this is the #1 feature. What's the #2 feature? And sometimes you'll only need to build that one core thing really, really well and ignore all the other stuff. And, you know, that makes a better product. That's how you disrupt markets. And of course, speaking of disrupting markets, what if you could know how many signups and cancellations Netflix has before their quarterly numbers are released? Or we were looking at Tesla or Amazon sales. HubSpot, Constant Contact, these are all publicly traded companies, and you can kind of see their real engagement and conversion and their sales numbers and all these things. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over to you, Phil, and let's see. I'm going to give you keyboard and mouse. Does that work?
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh wait, did you want me to change the presenter to you so that you can show stuff from your side? Like, did you want to do things like in your browser or not?
I don't need to. Yeah, I've
Okay,
got the slides loaded up.
cool. Well, you have the keyboard and mouse now.
Oh, cool. Nice. So I'm I'm in your computer.
Yep.
All right. Let me step back. I didn't realize I was clicking. Okay, so at the beginning, Mike mentioned I was the very first demo and got to play around with this tool. And Mike was just talking about how you don't really know what you're going to find until you load up some sites, and that was basically my experience. But I got pretty excited about using this for our clients and loaded up a bunch of sites for our business and for our clients, some competitors that we could take a look at. And this is just one example here where we've got a client. This is a new client for us in the recruiting industry. And we wanted to figure out, they've got a big competitor that seems to be dominating from an SEO perspective. We want to figure out a good plan of attack to outrank them. And we figured this was a good test with Nacho. So the very first thing we did was actually go in, look at the channels report, which Mike was talking about earlier, and that showed us that our competitor is getting the majority of their traffic from SEO. So that was obviously a valuable insight. We now know, okay, that is a big source of traffic and conversions for their business. That's a good place for our client to be investing. So we loaded them up, and this slide here is showing organic search traffic. So if you go to channels and then just click on organic search, and then I clicked on landing page. So now we see all the landing pages sorted by users, and we can see the top SEO landing pages for our competitor. And right away you can see their strategy. They've got San Diego recruiters, Los Angeles recruiters. So obviously one of their big strategies here is going after cities or location SEO pages. And then further down, you can see IT recruiters, accounting recruiters. So they're going after different industries. So that alone was a huge insight. We got that within just minutes of playing around here after we loaded it up and got some data. So key findings just right away. I already mentioned this. They've got city-specific pages. They're ranking, driving traffic. We didn't load up the goals. That's something that would be a phase 2 of our analysis, which would obviously be a good thing to do here. We'll have to go back, input goals, and then see which pages are driving the most conversions, and then that would help us prioritize even more. But just from a high level, we know which city pages drive the most traffic. We know which industry pages to prioritize. And
did you happen to look into? Did you look at where the traffic was coming from? Like which cities? I imagine that the cities, like if you had a recruiter page for San Diego or something, that the traffic to that page would largely come from San Diego. I'm just curious.
Yes, we did look at that. Let me step back because I know New York. Is New York even in that list? I should have put that in these slides. But yeah, New York was a big location for them, as well as San Diego. So it did match up with San Diego, but I bet if I showed more rows there, New York would be on there.
Sure, that's cool.
And then next thing we did, we actually we used that analysis, took those landing pages and put them into SpyFu, and that would tell us the keywords for those pages. And I sorted this by clicks per month, and you can see, obviously San Diego recruiter is a keyword, but we can see all the other variations here. And our client does not have these city-specific pages, So now we've got our keyword research that we can then go and build these new city-specific pages.
Hey Phil,
Again,
did you show your client this? Did you give them access to the Nacho Analytics account?
No, we have not.
Oh, okay. I'd be curious how they would react to that. It's kind of an interesting selling tool, I guess.
Yeah, I have not revealed this yet.
Yeah, that's one thing that's kind of cool is that these, of course, you completely own the analytics account, right? So you have the ability to share with whoever you want, anybody on your team, and obviously your clients, and you can give them whatever access level you want. It's kind of interesting.
Nice. And then I just pulled another example here with IT recruiters. So our client does have a similar page here, but it is not ranking well. And when we take a look at the keywords that our competitor here is ranking for, we now know which keywords we need to add to that page. So we know right away we're missing IT job recruiter, IT headhunters, and that's just again, this was just a matter of minutes of research and getting this data. And the last thing we took a look at was backlinks to those particular pages. If you're not familiar, there's a tool out there called Ahrefs. I just copy and pasted that URL here again, San Diego recruiters. Interesting to see 32 backlinks. I thought that was a lot. And then I think the next slide here shows where they're getting those links. Yeah, so you can see here where to actually build those city-specific links. So it looks like they're getting directory type links here. And then,
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so just summary of our findings. Again, you can do this. You'd load up Nacho Analytics. Mike already said, you have to build up some data. So give it a week or so. And then your analysis that I just went through there is about 10 minutes of work. And basically your competitor's SEO strategy, which ones are driving traffic. The next step that we should have done is to set up goals, or you could use analytics sequence segments. If you didn't have goals, you could do that and take a look at which pages are driving the most conversions. Based on this, we've got a plan of attack to build location pages, industry pages, how to actually optimize those, and then we also know where we can go and get backlinks.
So for that competitor, if you were to build goals, what would the goals? What do you think the goals would be? Do they have like? Is there like a purchase or what is it? A lead gen site for them probably?
Yeah, it's more lead gen.
Okay.
Requesting a quote, talking to a consultant. It's one of those forms.
So in that case, what you would do to set up that goal, I would say, is you would you'd go through that lead gen process and you just find the URL that's basically the thank you page. It's likely that if it's just a simple sign up form or like an email sign up, that we're not calculating that as a goal automatically. We might, but if we don't, then the way that you do it is just to do it yourself and see what that is, see what that looks like. The other thing that you can look at that I didn't go into because I don't really know whether or not eHarmony does this, but you can look at the performance of email campaigns, and so if you're getting a lead gen thing, they're likely to send you like an email, and they'll probably put you on a drip campaign or whatever, and you can see the performance of each of those emails in terms of like the click-through rate and conversion rates and all that stuff. So that's how I would go about that, just as a side note. I don't know if you had that prepared, but
no, thanks. All right, and then Mike, I'll let you go through that special offer.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, so we have a couple of special offers today. Let's see. Oh look, I didn't know that this is. I just pasted these in, and they magically created this Sweet animation. So for new customers, we have a 50% off of any plan for the first month. Hopefully, maybe Cedra can paste this into the chat. Can you? I don't know if maybe I can do that here. No, I can't access this page yet. But maybe Cedra can. Maybe somebody can do this for me. Anyway, that way you'll be able to click on it in the chat. So it's 50% off for the first 3 months for any plan. Nacho Analytics is. Let me show you the pricing real quick. Oh, I'm gonna log out.
And I was able to copy and paste those, so it's in the chat window.
Oh, perfect. So so basically choose any plan, you get 50% off. The other thing is for existing customers, you can get 50% off lifetime discount on the premium website. So some of the really big websites, the top 5,000 websites, are $200 a month. They're $199, and so you'd get them for $99, or whatever 199 divided by 2 is. It's like 99 and a half. $99.50. So those are your promo codes. Yeah. And they're already pasted in there. I don't see them, but I assume that they're in there.
Yeah, it says it
cool.
went to all.
Awesome. So now we have time for questions. Does anyone have any questions? We've got a lot of questions in here, so I'm going to just expand this question guy and see what we've got.
Yeah, one question I see here from Doug, he's just asking if this is equally effective for consumer and B2B sites.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, basically the only difference is, how many visits they get, right? So like, we were looking at, one of the examples that I was giving was HubSpot. HubSpot is glorious. HubSpot is, in our industry, the only site, just to give you a sense of like how many sites that you can get that are not premium. HubSpot is the only site in our industry, like, you can think of like Moz or WordStream or Ahrefs you had there, any of these sites that are pretty big. None of those sites are actually premium websites. You basically get them at the normal price. But any of those sites, any B2B site, any site, literally any site, right? Somebody asked here, is there any way to look, this is Nathan, is there any way to look at subdomains and not the top level domain? General Electric is a good example. If the top domain is geindustrial.com, but they have many subdomains where only one of them is applicable, could we target that somehow so we don't have thousands of lines to go through to get to the relevant data? Yeah, so the thing is that you completely control your property, right? So you can create a filter. Let's see. So here's your filters, and by creating a filter, you can say I want only this subdomain, only these pages, whatever. You can even do your content groupings. So I mean, anything that you can do in a normal Google Analytics account, you can do from an administrative perspective here.
I've got a question here. I'd like to hear your answer, Mike. What's the best, in all caps, most important info you can get from Nacho Analytics?
Yeah, so
Scott,
in my opinion, it's all about the behavior of the users, right? What are they doing when they're on this site? So on SpyFu, we are able to show people, like here's the organic keywords, here's the paid keywords, here's the ads that people have, here's the backlinks and so on. But none of that shows you what happens once they get to the website. And so from my perspective, that often works out like the most important behavior for me usually is like conversions, right? Like what causes people to buy. But you can look at what causes people to do any kind of behavior. The other thing that I think is really useful is you can see the performance of their campaigns and like any individual portion of that campaign, right? So that to me, it's all about the behavior of people once they get to the site. Just a real quick thing. Couple people asking, is this recorded? How do I get access to it? It is recording, and we will share it. As long as you're, basically we're going to send it out to everybody that signed up, so you'll be able to, watch it. I think that we could probably give people the slide deck too if they're interested in that.
And I saw a question here. I'm sure you can answer this quickly. Just basically the difference between SpyFu and this. Nick was saying, doesn't SpyFu do a lot of this already?
Kind of. There's bits of overlap, right? But there's a really big difference between being okay. So SpyFu, you can see people's organic keywords and what their rankings are, and you can see the history of those organic rankings. You can see the ads that they buy and the keywords that they buy, but that's all fundamentally Google centric. In this case, with Nacho Analytics, you're seeing the entire thing, right? You're seeing, where the traffic is coming from. That's Google and not Google. You can see the referring websites and who's driving traffic. You can see their like I said, their affiliates and who are their super affiliates. You can look at their email campaigns. You can look at their display ads, their display ad campaigns, and the performance of all these things. SpyFu doesn't show you the conversion rates. SpyFu doesn't show you the behavior of somebody as they get to the site, right? So pretty fundamental differences. Pretty much like this is, like I said, this is everything. This is seeing inside someone's analytics. It's God mode for their site. So does this replace SpyFu? No need for it. I think that there's still a use case for SpyFu for sure. Like there's you can look at we don't have like people's actual ads and like how their ad copy has changed over time. This is I'm answering Julius Caesar Hewlett's question here. I'm sorry, I'm answering Jeff Yurden's question. So they're different and they complement each other, I'd say.
Yeah, I think my case study was a good example of that, because one of the limitations, and I'm not sure how that would even be possible, but in your own analytics account, you're able to link up to Search Console, and that opens up the Search Console data. So you, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that would be possible in Nacho. So that's why we leveraged SpyFu to then get the keyword data for the landing pages.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we can't connect directly to someone's AdWords account. We can't connect directly to their Search Console, unless you have access to that. So somebody asked, are users only in the U.S.? Would international sites have consistent data? Yes. No, they're not only U.S. And yes, international sites work. So this, I did an example at some point with like yahoo.co.jp. So that works. Basically, as I was showing you, I think I can show you in eHarmony. Obviously, eHarmony is, or Tesla is fine too. Let's grab Tesla. So if we just look at the overview, you can see all these different languages, but also if you zoom in, you can see the countries. I'm not sure what their country breakdown is going to look like. Yeah, okay, so you got US, Canada, Russia, India, Ukraine. So data comes from everywhere, all kinds of users everywhere. Nacho is all up in your fridge eating your foods. Let's see. Somebody said something about asking whether or not the discount only works for the billed annually. No, it works for monthly billing as well. Works for every product. And one thing to note is that there's a 7-day free trial with everything. So in addition to there being 7-day free trial. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee. So, you know, basically we're like, let's just be as cool as we can possibly be. We're going to give you a trial and a money-back guarantee. So, so it's really no risk.
Here's a question I missed from Don. Can you create audience segments? And I sort of mentioned that, but you might want to just show your screen, Mike. Just so everyone
I'm sorry,
knows
what was the question?
If you can create segments in Analytics.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So let me give you a quick example. This is not what I want to look at. I want to look at eHarmony. And I'm going to create a segment. Give it a second. That was weird. So I'm going to create a segment that that only looks at those at the affiliate stuff. So I'm going to create a condition, and I'm going to say that the source. We'll do source medium, maybe. Source medium is I want CJ. Maybe I just need to do source. Hold on. I have actually already created this one. I want to see what I'm doing differently.
Or was it referrals?
It might have been. Let's see what it is. Source contains CJ. Okay, so I could have just continued doing what I was doing. It just didn't autocomplete. I blame Google Analytics. And oops. So then we can look at the conversions that came in via CJ. Or not. Oh, so weird. Do you see this? This is a this says all accounts eHarmony, and yet I'm still actually looking at Tesla. That is so weird. That's super weird. That's obviously why I couldn't create that couldn't create that segment. That's a the fortunate thing is that that's not our bug. So there we go. So you can see just in this, if I remove this, it'll make it maybe more obvious. If I remove the all users. But there we go. There's our 131 goal signups for Commission Junction. Now yeah, so there's your segments, and of course you can do any kind of segmenting you want. Wow, a bunch of questions just showed up while I was doing that. I don't have an analytics account. How would I proceed? So if you have a Gmail account, you have an analytics account, you just don't know it. And so if you have Gmail already set up, any Gmail account, if you go to analytics.google.com, it'll basically say, okay, let's create your first property, and that's what you do. Any other questions you're seeing in here?
I think we got them all here.
It's
Jeff's asking
demonstration.
pricing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Are the,
Okay, yeah. Pricing. Of course, we went over that. So 20,000 is too small. Somebody was asking about, can you explain again why you shouldn't use smaller traffic accounts, e.g., 8 to 10,000 sessions? And so here's how I would explain this. When you create your own Google Analytics account for yourself, right, with your own GA account, it when you first start, if you have a relatively small site, I mean, I don't want to make anybody's site seem super small or something, but if you have 10,000 visitors, then that's like roughly 300 visits a day, and so it takes a while for that data to add up. And quite honestly, even if it's your own account, whether or not it's your competitor's account or whatever, if it's your account, it's hard to like make real decisions very fast, right? You can see, oh look, there's people coming to my site and they're visiting my homepage. Look, most of them are visiting my homepage, and then look, most of them are clicking the link in the top left hand side, or the top link, and then they're going there, and like maybe 15% of people go to that URL, and then like some percent go to some other URL, but you're not really learning anything about what's effective, right? Because you're just seeing what you would just assume to be the case anyway, right? So there's not a lot of insights to be gained, and so I recommend using sites that are bigger than that, sites that are at least 100,000 or a quarter million page views a month, because I want you to have a good experience. I want you to understand the value of the product, and what kind of where you can see how users are behaving, what are they, what's causing them to convert, and so on. So it's not that you can't look at those sites. You can, but you're not going to really get the full value of the product, and you're not going to really understand it thoroughly unless you build something relatively big, particularly in that first week, in that free trial period. So I recommend you use a big site, at least as the first one that you do. Then load in those other ones, and certainly wait and see. Maybe you'll be able to gain some insights that I'm not thinking of, right? Any other questions on here? What we got? You seeing anything else, Phil?
Don said, can you see events like video plays?
I don't think so. That's something that we'll build in eventually. Video plays would be pretty sweet, but not currently. Video statistics would be awesome, and it's certainly something that we can do. But this again is our first release. So somebody asked, when trying to determine best of breed sites in a given vertical, would best practice be to use site ranking from Google or Alexa as the arbiter? Yeah, like that's a great question, right? Like you could use Alexa, you could use SimilarWeb, you could use SpyFu. It sort of depends on how you're determining what the best of breed is. When I went to determine, when I wanted to figure out what the best of breed is for refer a friend programs, I just did a Google search for like best referral programs in the world or whatever, and I looked at several of them, and Dropbox was always like at the top, and then so I there'd be like lists of 50 or 70 or whatever referral programs. So I literally looked at all of them. I mean, granted, I have kind of carte blanche access, and I can create as many of these accounts as I can. You really could do it with like 3 or 5 or whatever, and kind of learn quite a bit. Let's see.
Brian asked, how long is the discount good for?
I am not sure. I think that we usually create these things and make them active for for these webinars. We make them active just for a few days. So if you get this video by email, it'll still work, but it probably won't work longer than 3 or 4 days.
Oh, and Jeff's asking about the add-ons, and if those are one-time fee or monthly.
Those are monthly as well.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
All right.
a lot of people talking about some aspects of Tesla on here. Going back to that, what's the number of visits? Yeah. Get on late.
Looks like a support question from Ryan. I don't know if.
Oh, let me scroll down.
Where that should go.
So, Ryan, you may be running into the issue that I was just running into with the tracking code. Let me assure you that if that's actually something that's a bug right now, it should not be, and will be taken care of like in the next. Well, I'm gonna say by like 4 o'clock it'll be fixed. Well, I don't know what time it is your time. It's noon my time, and we'll make sure that gets fixed super fast, obviously. I've not seen that ever, and I have no idea how that's occurring, but we'll get it fixed if it's an issue. Apparently it is. I thought it had to do with my GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar thing here, but that's we're sort of constantly doing these updates, and all the tests and QA should be doing its job, but that might be one of those things that's moderately difficult for us to test, I guess. I don't know why it would possibly break, but it'll be fixed.
All right, I think we made it through.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Well, Mike,
Phil.
this was great. I appreciate you jumping on, walking through Nacho, and creating the product. This is great.
Dude, I mean, I love to see, how it actually gets used, and I love your use case. It's using multiple products in conjunction is super cool. Oh, look, he figured it out. I didn't have the UA part in the code. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Ryan.
Nice.
Good. I'm glad that it's not broken. That's awesome.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. You'll see on the screen if you could complete that brief survey at the end. Would really appreciate that. Get your feedback on this presentation, and hope to see you on a future one.
Awesome.
All right, take
Thanks
care,
a lot.
everyone.
All right, bye.